Hello everybody. Today I am going to be doing quite a long video. It's going to be quite long. I'm going to be talking about my magic deck. I'm going to be talking about my magic deck. It is going to be very long. Magic in itself is very complicated, for no reason, I might add, and Commander specifically is even longer. Now, a Commander deck is 100 cards, including your Commander, which is a legendary creature who has his own special little spot on the board. Now, this is opposed to normal Magic, which has 60 cards in a deck, and in normal Magic you are allowed to repeat cards. In Commander, that is a no-no. You are allowed one card per deck. You cannot have any duplicates. So my Commander's name is Adeline Resplendent Cathar. She is a legendary creature, human knight. She has vigilance, and her power is equal to the number of creatures I control. Whenever I attack, for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that is tapped and attacking the player or a planeswalker they control. Now that is a lot for one card, and legendaries usually have a lot on them. So, Adeline, she basically, the more creatures you have, obviously, the more powerful she is. Her defense is always a 4, so it only takes 4 to kill her. But in Commander, when your Commander dies, she just goes back to her Commander spot, where you can then repay the mana cost +2 to put her back out, so your Commander never leaves the game. Anytime they die, they simply go back to their Commander spot. She is by far my favorite card in the game, and I'm going to explain a little bit about her. Now, Vigilance just means that when she attacks, you do not have to tap. Tapping during attacking, all cards, unless they have Vigilance, are required to tap, which means that next round, they cannot block. It's pretty simple. All you do is turn them to the side. But a card with Vigilance can attack and block consistently. Now, 4 defense isn't a lot exactly, so I don't usually block with her. But she's a very good creature generator, and her power can ramp up quite a bit if you leave her unattended. This is a creature deck, so I go all in on, getting creatures out to get her power up ridiculously. Sometimes I've gotten up to about 15 power with her, and usually I stomp with this character. I'm pulling cards through my deck, so I will just kind of go through them as I pull them out. This card, Raise the Alarm. It is an instant, which means it is a spell card that I can play anytime I want. As long as I have 2 mana, which, land in this game is also called mana, I guess. You have about 30 mana or land in a deck for a Commander. Usually you only have about, ideally, 8 on the board, maybe more, at a time. So as long as you have 2 untapped mana, you can play Raise the Alarm anytime you want. And it puts 2 1 power, 1 defense, also known as a 1/1, white soldier creature token onto the battlefield. Now, tokens are different from normal creatures. They are not their own card. Tokens, I usually keep a separate stack of cards to the side so that anytime I need a token, I can just play a card from another deck face down to represent a token. Ideally, you have actual tokens, which are cards, provided in Magic that say creature token. You know, like, there's a lot. There's slime tokens, goblin tokens, human tokens. I do not have those. They are kind of useless anyways if you just have cards that you can flip upside down, and I have a lot of spare cards. For 2 mana to get 2/1/1 tokens, it is quite a good deal, especially if my Adelaine is out. This next card, I like this one. Claron Cathars. For 4 land, you can play Claron Cathars. She is a 3/3 creature, human knight. And when Claron Cathars enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white human creature token. So for 4 land, you can get 2 cards out. It doesn't, well, I'm not sure how it sounds. It might not sound that good, but I quite like the card. You get a 3/3, which is a decent mid-sized character, and another 1/1, both of which add to my Adelaine. The next card here is Ajani's Pride Mate for 2 land. It is a creature, cat soldier, which is different from a human soldier. There is a card in here that requires cats. I might have taken it out, I don't know, but it is a cat planeswalker. I have said that word before, planeswalker. Planeswalkers are a whole nother deal that I will get to later in this deck because I have a couple in here. Now, Ajani's Pride Mate. Whenever you gain life, you may put a 1/1 counter on Ajani's Pride Mate. That is very nice if I get lucky, because there are some life cards in here. Now, any effect that causes me to gain life only puts a 1/1 token. So if I gain 20 life in a turn, I will still only get 1 token. But if I play 2 cards separately that each only give me 1 life, that is 2 1/1 tokens. Now, it is very hit or miss with this card. Sometimes I just do not pull any life cards, and I end up, he's a 2/2 for 2, which is not bad. It's very economic. So you can get lucky and unlucky, but most of the time I get lucky. This is a new one. Retreat to Emeria. This is an enchantment. Enchantments work differently. For 4 land, you can place it down, and it has the effect Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may choose one of the following effects. Put a 1/1 white core ally creature token onto the battlefield, or creatures you control get a +1/+1 until end of turn. Now, a core ally creature token is about no different from any other token. Just sometimes cards have designations like the cat planeswalker I was talking about earlier. Sometimes they just have designations where you get pluses for each certain type of thing on the battlefield. I do not have any core allies, so that is mostly useless, and I just use the +1/+1, or if I need another creature out, because creature tokens do count for Adelaine, even though they are just tokens. I like this card, Return to the Ranks. For 2 land plus any amount you may want to add on top of that, you get Return to the Ranks. it has Convoke. Your creatures can help cast this spell. Each creature you tap while casting this spell pays for 1 colorless or 1 mana of that creature's color. Now is a good time to explain how land works more in depth. So you have the land. There's colored things in the top right that indicate land, and then there is always a gray box next to them that indicates colorless land. Now this is a mono white deck, so everything here will be played with the Plains land, but there are 5 lands to choose between in Magic the Gathering. There is Plains, which is known as white. There is Islands, which are known as blue. There are Forests, which is known as green. There is Swamps, which is known as black, and then there's Fire, or Mountains, which are known as red. Now, usually, mono decks are the most compatible with each other, but there are multicolored decks that work very well. So, if a card like Return to the Ranks says 2 white or Plains and X colorless, which means any, you can play as many as you want. That means I could play 2 Plains, and if I had any other land, I could play any other land I wanted to help cast this. But, so back to the card. Return X target creature cards with converted mana cost 2 or less, so I may return any card from my graveyard which has a mana cost of 2 or less. I can return it back to the battlefield. It is a fairly complicated card, obviously, if you do not know how it works. It's a lot of stuff you have not seen before with the X, and Convoke is interesting. I don't have a lot of return to the graveyard cards, but with this deck, that can be a very good one to pull mid to late game when I have a lot of my low ranking cards, my fodder in the graveyard. After they have died, I can use that card and return them all to the battlefield, and then my Adelaine gets very, very powerful. This next card is called Rootborn Defenses. For 1 white and 2 colorless, or 3 mana total, you can play Rootborn Defenses. It is an instant, and it populates. Creatures you control are indestructible this turn. Now, populate. To populate, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of a creature token you control. So, that means if I have a token, I can play this card and I will get another one. And all of my creatures are indestructible, which means they cannot take damage this turn, and effects that say destroy or kill do not destroy indestructible creatures. It is a very useful card, very useful card, very useful. This next one is a 1 white, 1 colorless card, Unruly Mob. It is a creature human. Whenever another creature you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on Unruly Mob. Now this is very good because it is a 1/1, but a lot of creatures die in this deck. So anytime anything dies, it gains a 1/1 counter. So it goes from 1/1 to 2/2 to 3/3 and so on. Now, it never usually gets anywhere because as a 1/1, sometimes I don't have a lot of sacrifice cards out, which means it usually has to take a hit before it gets too ridiculous, and it usually dies. For 1 mana, I can play Gerard's Battle Cry. It is another enchantment, which I forgot to explain enchantments last time I had an enchantment. But enchantments are separate from creatures, separate from creatures, separate from creatures. Enchantments specifically are required to kill an enchantment. You are required to have a card that says specifically kill enchantment or destroy target enchantment. Other than that, enchantments are untouchable, untouchable, untouchable. Now, destroy enchantment cards are rare in decks. If you are not specifically playing a deck that deals with them, there is a very low chance that you have a card that will destroy an enchantment. I myself do not think I have one in this deck that destroys enchantments. But this enchantment, its effect is for 3 land. I can have all my creatures I control get +1/+1 for end of turn. Now that is a little expensive. 3 for a +1/+1 on all my creatures. I have cards in here that do that for cheaper, but an enchantment stays on the board permanently unless it is destroyed. And I can redo the all creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn as many times as I have the land, while other instants and sorceries, I can only do it once. It is mostly an opportunistic card, so I do not have many chances. But sometimes it can be very, very useful. Alright. Another enchantment. For 2 land, I can play Honor of the Pure. It is another enchantment where white creatures you control get a +1/+1. Now that is a permanent, so as long as the enchantment is out, all white creatures I control get +1/+1. Considering how this is an all-white creature deck, that can be very useful. Because every creature gets the +1/+1. This is my first non-white card. This is all colorless. For 4 colorless. It is, you can play Baron's Codex. Now it is an artifact. And artifacts are special because artifacts can be put in any commander deck. Any commander deck. Any commander deck. Because they are colorless, which fits under any of the commander's colors. And during your upkeep, you may put a page counter on Baron's Codex. Now a page counter is just a counter. You may put a dice on in every upkeep, which is the beginning of your turn. You may put a counter on it, which means you may put the dice number up 1, and for 4 land, and tapping it, you may sacrifice Baron's Codex and draw X cards, where X is the number of page counters on Baron's Codex. Drawing cards are not as rare in this game, but they can be very useful if you have played a lot of cards and you have been running low. This card is 4 land, 1 plains, and 3 colorless. Ramosion Rally. It is an instant. If you control a plains, you may tap an untapped creature you control instead of playing Ramosion Rally's mana cost. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Now, for 4, that is very expensive for 4 land. As I said, the enchantment is only 3 for 1, and that I said was expensive. So this, you might be thinking, for 4, just for a +1/+1 until end of turn. But the kicker, if you control a plains, you may tap an untapped creature you control. That only requires one creature. And when you have so many creatures, tapping 1 instead of paying for 4 can be quite efficient. Gideon's Sacrifice for 1 land. Instant. Choose a creature or planeswalker you control. There is that word again, planeswalker. All damage that would be dealt this turn to you and permanents you control is dealt to the chosen permanent instead. So, if you're getting attacked with a lot of creatures, or with something that is doing a lot of damage, you may play Gideon's Sacrifice, and you may unfortunately sacrifice a creature, but it can be the difference between life or death. I am going to take a quick Dr. Pepper break. I am getting quite parched. I will be back in 1 second. We are already 20 minutes into this video, and I am nowhere near done with my deck. This is going to be a long one, a very long one. I suspected, but this is looking to be maybe over an hour, which I was not expecting whatsoever. I was thinking this was going to be 30, 40 minutes, maybe in and out. Cavalry Pegasus for 2, 1 plains and 1 colorless. It is a creature, a Pegasus creature. It has flying, which flying is interesting because creatures with flying can only be attacked it can only be blocked. You cannot attack specific creatures in this game. It can only be blocked by other creatures with flying. That can be very useful if you are not going against a flying deck, because, well, if they don't have a flyer, then that is direct damage they cannot deal with. Whenever Cavalry Pegasus attacks, each attacking human gains flying until end of turn. Now, as I stated before, flying is very nice, so that can be quite useful. Lumen Thread Field, a 2-land enchantment. Creatures you control get +0/+1. And it has the kicker where you can morph it for 2 land. You may play this face down as a 2/2 creature for 3 colorless. Turn it face up anytime for its morph cost. So for 3, you may add it as a creature, a 2/2 creature. And if you want to pay another 2, you can turn it into its enchantment. I never morph it because the enchantment is quite nice. +1 to defense is useful when you have a lot of these other things out here. Professor for 1 land. It is a creature cleric. Whenever a player discards a card from his or her hand, you may gain 1 life. That goes well with the Ajani's Pridemate from earlier. Crusader of Odric. For 3 land, it is a creature human soldier. Crusader of Odric's power and toughness are equal to the number of creatures you control. It is very much like my commander, but instead of just the power, it is the power and defense, which can be very powerful. If, as I stated way in the beginning, if I can get Adelaine up to a 15-4, then I can get Crusader of Odric up to a 15-15, which is ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly ridiculous. There are not many cards which naturally come as a 15-15. In fact, I think there are none. The most I have ever seen is a 12. But it lacks the other things Adelaine has, like vigilance, and the thing where if you attack, you get a token summoned into the battlefield also attacking, which that token that is summoned does increase the power of both Crusaders of Odric and Adelaine as it comes in. Court Street Denizen for 3. It is a creature human soldier. Whenever another white creature enters the battlefield under your control, tap target creature and opponent controls. That is very good. You can tap a target creature your opponent controls and they cannot block next turn. It's very good for attacking. For 2 land, you can play Soul Shepherd. It is a summon cleric, which means you can play it like you would an instant anytime. For 1 land, remove a creature card in your graveyard from the game. Gain 1 life. And you can do that as many times as you have 1 land and 1 card in your graveyard. Creature card specifically. Sunlance for 1 land. It is a sorcery. Sunlance deals 3 damage to target non-white creature. It's a very self-explanatory card. Not much to go into there. 2 arms for 2 land. It is an instant. You untap all creatures you control and draw a card. Now that is a very useful card, but I have never quite been able to utilize it properly. Captain's Call for 4 land. It is a sorcery. Put 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield. 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. Now, that is very descriptive. 3 1/1 white soldier creature. But those delegations are quite important. This is one of my favorite cards, Healer of the Pride for 4 land. It is a creature, cat cleric. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 2 life. 2 life. there was... So, in Commander, you start with 40 life. You start with 40. And in this game, I had played Healer of the Pride, and I had gotten up to well over 100. Well over 100. Surprisingly, I still lost that game because someone I was playing against had a "you win the game" card. You win the game card, which angered me beyond belief. But what am I to do? 4 for 4 land, I may play Kabira Vindicator. Kabira Vindicator is a creature human knight, and this is an interesting card. It starts as a 2/4, but you may level it up. You can level it up for 3 land, and from levels 2 to 4, it is a 3/6. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. And then from level 5 onwards, other creatures you control get +2/+2, and it is a 4/8. I have never gotten it up to level 5 because it is expensive, but it is a very good card even if it's not level 5. Dawnfeather Eagle for 5/5 land. It is a creature bird. Flying when Dawnfeather Eagle enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain vigilance until end of turn. I'm going to try to fly through these not last, because I have a lot of the deck left, but I am trying to... If it is not new, I will not be explaining it anymore, because, well, I'm 30 minutes in, and I'm about 60%. I have 60% of the deck left, which is no bueno. Righteousness for 1 land. It is an instant. Target blocking creature. Blocking creature gets +7/+7 until end of turn. So a blocking creature is when your opponent attacks, you may block that card with a creature. Concave's Blessing for 4 land. It is another enchantment. It is an aura enchantment, which means you attach it to a card, not the board. Convoke, which means you can tap creatures instead of paying. It's colorless. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +0/+2 for each other creature you control. That is a lot. That is +2 defense for every creature I do not control, or every creature I do control. Children of Corliss for 1 land. Is a human rebel cleric creature. Sacrifice Children of Corliss. You may gain life equal to the life you've lost this turn. So you can undo any life you have lost to sacrifice that creature. Oketra's Monument for 3 colorless. It is a legendary artifact. White creature spells you cast cost 1 colorless less to cast. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance. That is very good, very, very, very good. Another favorite of mine, Champion of the Parish for 1. Is a human soldier creature. Whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Champion of the Parish. Lumbering Battlement for 5 land, 5 land. It is a beast creature. Vigilance. When Lumbering Battlement enters the battlefield, exile any number of creatures. Now, to exile, you simply place them above your graveyard, face down, to indicate they are exiled, because exiled creatures are much harder to bring back than creatures from the graveyard. So exile any number of non-token creatures you control until it leaves the battlefield. Lumbering Battlement gets +2/+2 for each card exiled with it. So for this card, exiled creatures do come back after Lumbering Battlement dies. Moonlit Wake for 3. It is an enchantment. Whenever a creature is put into graveyard from play, you gain 1 life. 1 life. Attended Knight for 3. It is a human knight creature with first strike. This creature deals combat damage before creatures without first strike. When Attended Knight enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 white soldier creature token onto the battlefield. Ajani's Mantra. Now, Ajani is a planeswalker in this game, which is why you have heard a couple cards named after him. He is a cat planeswalker. Ajani's Mantra for 2 is an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may gain 1 life. Now, upkeep is the first thing you do in your turn. It is when you draw your card. And untap everything that was previously tapped. War Report for 4 land. It is an instant. You gain life equal to the number of creatures on the battlefield plus the number of artifacts on the battlefield. So not just for creatures you control, but creatures on the battlefield. Speaking of Ajani, here he is, Ajani, Caller of the Pride. For 3, he is a planeswalker, which means he has his own life total and may be targeted as if he is another player. So he has 4 life total, and he has 3 effects. For +1, you may do 1 effect per turn, by the way. You can add 1 total to his life counter and put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. So you can put a 1/1 counter and increase his life total +1. For -3 life total, target creature gains flying and double strike until end of turn. And -8, which means you have to get his health up to 8 at least first, preferably 9 so you do not kill him. And then wait another turn for you to use his -8. Put X 2/2 white cat creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is your life total. Now, as I said, Commander, you start with 40 life. If you get him out early and you do not take damage early, that is 40 2/2 white creature tokens. 40. If you use the gain life cards, it can be even more. That is utterly ridiculous. Especially with Crusaders of Audric and Adelaine. That means they both become Exalted Deeds for 3. It is a legendary artifact. But unlike other artifacts, this one has 3 colored mana. It is 3 white, not 3 colorless. At the beginning of your end step, which is the last thing you do, it's basically nothing unless you have a card. It's when you say, I end my turn. If you do not have a card that says end step, you do nothing in your end step. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained 3 or more life this turn, create a 3/3 white angel creature token with flying. You also may pay 3, tap this card, and exile the Book of Exalted Deeds, and you can put an enlightened counter on target angel. It gains you can't lose the game, and your opponents can't win. I don't need to explain why that is very good. You can't lose while that creature is alive. Safe Passage for 3. It is an instant. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and creatures you control this turn. Cartouche of Solidarity for 1. It is an enchantment. It is an aura. Enchant creature you control. When Cartouche of Solidarity enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white warrior creature token with vigilance. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has first strike. God-Favored General for 2 is a human soldier creature. Inspired. Whenever God-Favored General becomes untapped, you may pay 3 land. If you do, put 2 1/1 white soldier enchantment creature tokens onto the battlefield. I am not sure what enchantment creature tokens are compared to normal ones, but I do not question it. Honor of the Pure. 1 colorless, 1 white. It is an enchantment. White creatures you control get +1/+1. There's another card that did that, if I am not crazy. I think it was... I have 2 Honor of the Pures in this deck, which is not allowed. That is not allowed. I am not sure how I am now just catching this. I am going to have to remove that second card from my deck. I will keep it on the side. I will keep it on the side so I can remember that. Murder Investigation for 2 land. It is an aura enchantment. Enchant creature you control. When enchanted creature dies, put X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is the creature's power. Thalia's Lancers for 5 land. Is a human knight creature with first strike. When Thalia's Lancers enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a legendary card. Reveal it, put it in your hand, and then shuffle your library. Your library is the card. It is your stack of cards that you have not drawn from. It is your deck. It is your deck. Evangel of Heliod for 6 land. I think that is my most expensive card yet. Creature human cleric. When Evangel of Heliod enters the battlefield, put a number of 1/1 white soldier creature tokens onto the battlefield, equal to your devotion to white. Each white or planes in the mana cost of permanents you control counts towards your devotion to white. This is why so many delegations are important, because white creature tokens do not count for this. They do not count even if they say white. It is a very confusing process. Any card with, so Evangel of Heliod has 2 planes but 4 colorless. But 2 planes plus however many white or planes is in the mana cost of all the other cards equals your devotion to white. And then each devotion to white counts as a 1/1 white soldier creature token. I explained that poorly, but it was confusing for me every time I used it until I learned it's much better visually explaining it, which I cannot do, unfortunately, right now. Congregate. I don't know if I said I have a favorite card in my deck, but this one is it. This one is it. For 4, it is an instant. Target player gains 2 life for each creature on the battlefield. I used that card once and gained 40 life in 1 turn. Fortify for 3. It is another instant. Choose 1. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn, or creatures you control get +0/+2 until end of turn. Glimpse of the Sun God, or Glimpse the Sun God. I'm not sure the difference, but Glimpse the Sun God is what it reads. For 1 white and X colorless, it is an instant. Tap X, target creatures, scry 1. To scry, you look at the top card of your deck and either put it on the bottom of your library or keep it face up, face up. Righteous Charge for 3. It is a sorcery. Creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn. If you have made it this far, thank you so much. This is a very long one. It will probably eclipse the 1 hour mark just by a little bit. I was never expecting to make a video this long. Soul's Attendant for 1. It is a human cleric creature. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you may gain 1 life. 1 life, 1 life, 1 life. Hero's Resolve for 2. It is an aura enchantment, but it is a very old card, so it is not called aura enchantment, it is called enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+5. Now this card is a 1997 print, so this card I am holding in my hands is... It's 8 years older than me. Very old card. You do not usually get those nowadays unless you bought them back in the 90s, which I have not, obviously, but I got a lot of my cards from from someone who did, from someone who's been playing Magic since the 90s. Archangel of Tithes for 4. It is an angel creature with flying. As long as Archangel of Tithes is untapped, creatures can't attack you or a planeswalker you control unless the controller pays one for each of those creatures. As long as Archangel of Tithes is attacking, creatures can't block unless their controller pays 1 for each of these creatures. Veteran Armor Smith for 2. Human soldier creature. Other soldier creatures you control get +1. So if it does not say soldier, it does not get a +1. Intervention Pact for 0. 0 means if you have it, you can play it whenever. It is an instant. Intervention Pact is a white card. The next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. You gain life equal to the damage prevented that way. At the beginning of your next upkeep, pay 3. If you don't, you lose the game. Battle Mastery for 3. 4-3. Not 4-3, 4-3. Enchantment Aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has double strike. 9th Bridge Patrol for 2 is a dwarf soldier creature. Whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on 9th Bridge control. This is my second favorite card in the deck. Kytheon, Hero of Akros for 1. Is a legendary creature, human soldier. At the end of combat, if Kytheon, Hero of Akros, and at least 2 other creatures attacked this combat, exile Kytheon, then return him to the battlefield transformed under his owner's control, and you may pay 3. And he gains indestructible until end of turn. Now to transform him, you take him out of his sleeve, turn him around, and then he becomes Gideon, Battleforged, a Planeswalker. Gideon, Planeswalker, for +2, up to 1 target creature an opponent controls attacks Gideon, Battleforged during its controller's next turn, if able. For +1, until your next turn, target creature gains indestructible until next turn. Untap that creature. And for 0, until end of turn, Gideon Battleforged becomes a 4/4 human soldier creature with indestructible that's still a Planeswalker. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn. Veteran Swordsmith for 3. Now this is just Veteran Armor Smith, but other soldier creatures you control get +1/+0 instead of +0/+1. Angel Song for 2. It is an instant. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. And this one has cycling on it. For 2 colorless, discard this card and draw a card. So if you have it in your hand, instead of paying 2 to cast it, you may pay 2 to cycle it. Mobilization for 3. Soldier creatures have vigilance. Now this is an enchantment. For 3, you may put a 1/1 white soldier creature token into play. Core Sanctifiers for 3. They are core cleric creatures. Kicker, for 1, you may pay an additional 1 as you cast this spell, or you may pay an additional planes. When Core Sanctifiers enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Now I have said the word kicker to describe a couple of these cards, but this is the only one with kicker in the name. I used kicker as a word to describe an extra description of the card, but this one says kicker. And if I do not, this says kicker, pay 1. That is in none of the other cards yet. That is just that one. Approach of the Second Sun. For 7, making it my most expensive card yet. Sorcery. If Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand and you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Otherwise, put Approach of the Second Sun into its owner's library, 7th from the top, and you gain 7 life. So for 7, you may play it, and for the first time, you put it to 7 back, which gives your enemies 7 turns to try and win, or prevent you from playing it. Or else you win. A Johnny's Presence for 1. It is an instant. Strive. A Johnny's Presence cost 3 more to cast for each target beyond the first. Any number of target creatures gain +1/+1 and gain indestructible as well until end of turn. Stonehaven Medic for 2. It is a core cleric. For 1 planes and tapping this card, you gain 1 life. Now, for reference, you may only tap a card once unless you have a card that lets you untap. Armored Ascension for 4. It is an aura enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each planes you control and has flying. Now remember, at the beginning I said ideally you have about 8 to 10, 7 to 10 really. So that is +8 at least you want. Soul Warden for 1. Summon Cleric. Whenever any other creature comes into play, gain 1 life. I only have 2 cards left in the deck. I thought I had a lot more, but I just pulled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I just pulled 6 planes out consecutively. I can't really explain land because they are lands. They do nothing other than be land. Spirit on Doll for 3. It is a spirit creature with shadow. This creature can block or be blocked by only creatures with shadow. And it has 4 cast for 2. Reveal Spirit on Doll from your hand. Target creature gains shadow until end of turn. This is my very last card. Doomed Traveler for 1. It is a human soldier creature. When Doomed Traveler dies, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. Alright. Well, that was all of my cards. This video went exceptionally long. I was not expecting it to be this long. But as I said, I like yapping about magic, so I am glad to do this. I will probably make this a series where I talk about all of my magic decks, so you may get two more hour-long videos where I yap about my other magic decks. If I can find the fourth one, I will do that one too, but I cannot find the fourth one. I can only find 3. But this is the end of the video now. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for listening to me yap. I will probably not do the magic videos next because I'm going to do shorter videos. Shorter videos. I might even write a script for this next one. I'm thinking about doing a role play next, or I might do another Ramble video. But that is all for this one. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.